So here we have the posterior view of our sheep heart, and from the superior vena cava, we could see that our heartstrings right here, which is also commonly referred as the coordinated tendon. It can be found in both sides over here and right here. So the function of the coordinated tendon is it helps close both valves. So it helps close the tricuspid valve so that it prevents backflow right back into the atrium when it flows through the valve so that it goes to the ventricle. And on our left side, it helps close the bicuspid valve, which is also called the mitral valve, and that prevents it from backflow right into the atrium as well. So when it goes down to the left ventricle, it closes, and the blood then goes to the aorta.
A heart attack can occur if the flow of oxygen-rich blood to the section of the heart suddenly becomes blocked and the heart can't get enough oxygen. Here is the coronary artery. If the artery gets blocked by fat or other substances, it isn't able to release any blood to the rest of the body, which stops the heart.
Alright, so now we're doing the structure. Over here we have the right atrium and the right ventricle. The left atrium is up here and the left ventricle. Then we have the great vessels. So attached to the aorta, we have the brachiocephalic artery, which brings blood to the upper limbs and head. We have the aorta, which pumps oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. We have the pulmonary trunk, which is not on this one. Hold on. Which is this artery right here, and it pumps blood from the right ventricle to the lungs. We have the... Oh, no, sorry. Over here. God damn it. We have the inferior vena cava and the superior vena cava, which pump deoxygenated blood into the right ventricle. Next we have the valves. Sorry, I need this in. This is the mitral or bicuspid valve. This is the tricuspid valve. Up here we have the aortic valve. And over here. In here we have the pulmonary valve. Next we have the intraventricular. Oh, I can say words, I promise. Intraventricular septum, and back the intraventricular sulcus. We have the epicardium, the myocardium, and the endocardium. We have the papillary muscle and the coordinated tendon. Jesus.
Alright, I'll be discussing the anterior and posterior views of the heart. This is the anterior part. This is the anterior view of the heart because of the two ventricles you can see right here. And then you can see the interventricular sulcus coming down from the heart from the top to the bottom. This is the posterior view because of the vena cavas you can see here. This is the superior vena cava right here. And this is the inferior vena cava down here. You can also tell that it's right and left because when you put it into the anterior view of your body, this is going to be the right side and this will be the left side.
So here we're going to be describing the concept of how the blood flow travels through our heart and to our other parts of the body. This blue bead will represent the deoxygenated blood. So from the vena cavas, so the inferior vena cava, which is found right here, and the superior vena cava can be found right here. The deoxygenated blood flows through that and ends up in the right atrium, where it flows through the tricuspid valve, which eventually closes once all that deoxygenated blood goes to the right ventricle. And from the right ventricle, it goes to our pulmonary artery so that it can go to our lungs. And from the lungs, the blood is oxygen made. So from there, we could switch to the oxygenated blood, which flows to our left atrium. And from our left atrium, it flows into the bicuspid valve, which, and then from our right ventricle, it flows into our aorta, where it shares the blood throughout our body.
Alright, so the heart can be roughly divided into two sections, the right and left side. The right side deals with taking blood from the systemic part of your circulatory system and pumping it into the pulmonary part of your circulatory system. The left side takes blood from your pulmonary circulatory system and pumps it into the systemic part of your circulatory system. The pulmonary circulatory system sends deoxygenated blood from your body to the lungs to be reoxygenated, and the systemic part of your pulmonary system sends oxygenated blood from your heart to the rest of your bodies to be deoxygenated in capillaries when you move or just when you're living in general.